G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. In the interests of world peace, I've got the Canacone hat, but we've also got a new variant, the Panacone X, covering our 5 favourite manufacturers, but missing out a couple because it's becoming impossible. But anyway, it is so good to see you, and today we're going to talk about a little bit of news. Yes, we are. Why not? It's news time. Plus, I wanted to show you here my brand new camera. Yes, chick. No, this is not my brand new camera. This is the camera that I purchased for my daughter when she was 3. And it's 13.2 megapixels, shockproof, underwaterproof. How can you go wrong? I think give your kid a camera. Give them a reasonably good one so they can learn and explore. And most importantly, understand the frame, which I talked about in a recent video. Check it out. All right, let's jump into the news. And we're going to do this. We are starting with Fuji. There are rumours that there is a new Fuji, but not just one, 2. And the rumour is that there's a new Fuji X-T30 Mark II on the way. How exciting is that? I am right on the precipice of getting my hands on an X-T3 or an X-T4 because I am super keen to find out what the allure of the Fuji is. Now, I just want to get a tiny little starter kit, and I would love anybody out there to tell me what would be the best starter kit lens to go with the X-T3 or the X-T4. Now, don't worry, I'm not changing what I do. I just want to understand. I just want to explore. Spread my wings and fly through the sky. Remember, Canacone or Panacone X. That's X as in X-T3. XT4. And in GFX news, the GFX 50 series of cameras, there's a rumour that there's a new one coming and it will have in-body image stabilisation like its big sibling, the GFX 100, along with a new processing unit. Now, I love these cameras. I love the idea of a larger sensor than 35mm, but with the GFX 50, it's only 50 megapixels, so they are beautiful, large photo sites and give you a beautiful outcome. What's not to love about these cameras? Again, Fuji doing interesting things. It does keep me interested. It does keep me looking at that greener grass over there. Like, the grass is always green. It doesn't matter which side you're on. You're always looking at someone else, aren't you? But it does excite me, the idea of a GFX 50 with IBIS, because of course with my street photography, I really lean into stabilization so I can keep my ISO lows, but shoot handheld at really slow shutter speeds. So these are 2 rumors. I think they're both very valid sounding rumors, and I really look forward to Fuji bringing both, either, or all of those things out. And in Canon news, yes, there is a rumour that by the end of the year that we will have a new APS-C camera. Now, right now, we're not sure whether it's a replacement for the M series of cameras or whether it will be an RF mount camera. I very much doubt it'll be in their DSLR range. This is a rumour. Something that's not a rumour is the fact that Canon have released a new firmware update for the Canon R5. Now, this firmware is 1.4.0, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 updates in this firmware. And I think the 2 most exciting parts of this firmware upgrade to me are in relation to video. The first one is you can now record 8K 30 frames per second 10-bit video to the Atomos Ninja 5 Plus, which is a new version of the Ninja, which allows for 8K recording. Now, I haven't had a chance to watch some of the videos, the very early release videos of people who've had this firmware update and been able to use it with the new Ninja, but I suspect that this extends the 8K recording time significantly, and it may well extend it indefinitely. So this creates an extraordinarily powerful machine with the R5, and indeed that same Ninja Atomos 5 Plus may too work with the Sony A1. Neither of them work forever in 8K, that's for sure. It's just the Sony A1 goes a little bit longer. All good. I think this is a great advancement, and it just continues to drive home the fact that the tools that we now have in our hands today are absolutely extraordinary. And the fact that you can generate an 8K picture and be spending, under $10,000 with a few bits and pieces is insane to me for someone who's been in this industry for so long, when you could not get 1/10 of the quality 30 years ago, and it cost $100,000. And I'm right there. I'm citing something like a Sony Betacam, which is what news gathering organizations used to use. Honestly, what we have in our hands is astonishing.
And the other exciting part of this firmware update is the ability to be able to record video to both of your memory cards. There is a caveat, though, that certain versions of RAW cannot be recorded to both cards. I think these are two great advancements for Canon users.
And in final Canon news for right now, it is rumoured that we are going to see the R3 in mid-September, and that is oh so close now. How exciting is that? Okay, so now let's move on to some Sony news. There is a little tiny rumour floating around about the A9 version 3. And the rumours are that this would pretty much be similarly spec'd to the rumoured specifications of the Canon R3. Now that makes sense. Sony want to go head to head with Canon and produce a camera that's got the very same spec. And I think the most critical one is they're ultra fast, and the pixel count, the megapixel count, happens to be the same at 24 megapixels. So there you go. We may well have the R3 and the A9 III. How do these coincidences keep happening? Dropping with very similar specs and being aimed at very similar markets. It's a rumour, who knows? Next, in Nikon news. Well, we've all heard the rumour that the only new lens that will be announced between now and the end of the year is the 400mm prime 2.8 with the 1.4 times teleconverter. All of that's rumoured. The only thing we know for sure is there's a 400mm lens. We don't know it's a 2.8. We don't know it's got a 1.4 teleconverter in it, but it feels pretty solid to me. The thing I'm less excited about is that's the only further release this year. Like, not the end of the world or anything, and it allows me, I suppose, to save up more money for the Z9 that I don't want, but I lust. That's fine. Great. I was hoping to see the 85mm 1.2, we think, soon. Maybe it's going to be early in the new year. Let's hope so. Fingers are crossed. And in other Nikon news, I believe that if you want to get yourself a D850, they are in stock again all around the world. I didn't know they were out of stock, but they're back in stock again. And also, the much coveted, the very rare, the unicorn, the 500mm PF is also available again around the world. One thing I did want to talk about, which was of interest to me, is the fact that we have the chatter about the Canon R3 and the potential of the Sony A9 III. And then, of course, we have the other massive flagship camera that's going to drop in this period is the Nikon Z9. Now, it's interesting to me. Obviously, Sony came into the photographic world and took on Canon and Nikon. It took on both of them. And is it possible, like this is just me theorizing and ruminating, and this is while it's at the end of the video, and I'm hoping there's a couple of people left still watching. Let me know in the comments below if you're still here. I'm wondering if Nikon and Canon quietly said to each other, why don't we release two different high-end cameras, R3, Z9. They're different. They have different use cases. And what it'll do is force Sony to either split its resources or choose one or the other, and thus making life a little harder for Sony. This is the sort of thing that competitive companies do. This is just a crazy theory of mine, but I have wondered why Canon made an R3 and Nikon made a Z9. One's obviously the flagship, absolute flagship all-rounder in the Z9. It's got a nice megapixel count. It's going to be super fast. It's going to do 8K. And then you've got the R3, which is more aimed at your sports and wildlife, news journalists, action shooters, that sort of thing. Now, of course, you could argue that the Z9's closest Canon stablemate is the R5. And yes, that's true. But I do think that the R5 is more, not actual use case, but it more sits in the market at the semi-pro level. It doesn't have the full-size body, the full-size battery, the vertical grip, Overheating has been a thing. Obviously, that's being mitigated further and further with every firmware update. And obviously, price point makes a difference. So we don't call the R5 the supposed R1. None of that sort of stuff might happen. And it just may simply be that Canon have gone, look, the R5 covers so many bases. The R3 will cover the rest. And then when the R1 comes, well, it will be a Thor hammering, smashing, epic beast, which is the sort of thing that Canon will do. We've seen them do it with the 1D series. Anyway, just a crazy theory. I'm not saying it's right. I just like to think about, to me, all of this stuff is like a game of chess, although it's a three-sided game of chess. But anyway, it's like a game of chess, and the pieces moving around, and why are they moving around? And I like to contemplate. I like to go a few steps forward in my head. Sometimes you realise a few steps forward and that move isn't going to work. But with all the brilliant minds out there, maybe we can solve this one. Maybe we can understand what's going on. Maybe it's as simple as what I've already said. Canon think the R5 is good enough. Anyway, there's a little 2-minute brain dump from me about what's going on. That's the news right now in the world. I do hope that you're very, very well and staying safe. It's been so fantastic to see you. If this is your first time here, I would love to see you again. So please do subscribe. Please share. Please like the video. Channel memberships, they're down there somewhere. Don't forget hats, website, apparel, business, the website, prints, books, all that sort of stuff. Oh my God. Oh, and a quick one. If, for example, someone like Squarespace reached out to me and said, hey Matt, we love what you do. Would you like to work with us? How would you guys feel about that? Because it really helps support the channel. And if we can't make this channel the top gear of photography channels over the next few years, well, what are we doing? So I need support. I need support from every direction. So, would someone like Squarespace be okay? Let me know in the comments below. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.